Hello everybody folks, and welcome to an update on Tactics Ogre Reborn. So for one thing, right off the bat, let me just say, I'm not sure what the situation is on potentially getting in trouble for copyright stuff on this, so excuse the kind of scuffed setup here. But long story short, we got a bunch of updates on Reborn from the Tokyo Game Show, and well, let's kind of get into it here. So right off the bat, I'm playing this in the background here at 150% speed, but just so you know, about I don't know, 40% to maybe half of this whole thing has basically been just a bunch of stories over how they managed to actually get this whole production done, you know, courtesy of COVID and all the fun stuff that ended up bringing. So a lot of that is, for example, like stories over how they met with people kind of on the other end of the world, how they ended up dealing with art direction, all that kind of thing. Actually, there was one particular funny story from the guy that voiced Canopus there, who, interestingly enough, even looks like Canopus. They weren't kidding about that. That was saying that the first lines he actually was told to sort of bounce off of were Vice's execution lines on the neutral route. So, at any rate, we got a whole bunch of info out of this, though, so I'm going to try and summarize it as quickly as possible. It's not necessarily always going to reflect what's going on in the background, but basically they confirmed that, yeah, when it came to this remake, they basically tried to bring out the best of all versions here. Pretty much, they got teams from both versions of the game. I mean, arguably there were up to 5, but that's kind of neither here nor there. But first of all, first transitional thing that has come up a whole bunch. Yes, crafting got fixed. Basically, they'll have pictures of this later, but crafting is confirmed fixed. 100% chance on everything, and also you don't have to buy the materials anymore. It's basically going to be like an OB64 kind of deal when you try to change classes, where instead it'll just give you a breakdown of the items that you'll be needing, and it'll just tell you the cost of actually buying that item, like it should have been from the get-go. So fantastic there. I'm not sure what they're. Well, I guess technically the base stat system then is probably just gone and thrown out because everyone's just got their own individual stats. So, okay, that's fine. That was potentially needlessly complicated. For another thing, it seems like we have confirmation that archers got nerfed, because they were talking about the fact that the SNES archers were way too strong, and then they weakened them in the PSP version, and then in the final version here, their exact quotes were a little bit odd, because they're basically saying, yes, you're still going to rely on Canopus, but essentially you're going to be... you're going to be running into a situation where the actual archers themselves are a bit weaker than before. You know, remains to be seen how that ends up looking like, or if potentially, you know, that might be a bit of a mistranslation. By the way, if you're watching the original video, just know that the translation does get better over time. It seems like they might have been a little bit overwhelmed at the very start there, so, you know, kind of bear with them. It's definitely a lot of stuff to translate at one time, so, you know, it is how it goes there. Another thing, we got confirmation of field buffs. Actually, we'll talk about field buffs in a moment. In the background here. Actually, I'm not sure if this was the exact slide, but we got bonus objectives on maps. So this consisted of stuff like deploying particular classes, of going and, you know, saving certain people, achieving certain objectives, that kind of thing. We didn't see a whole lot of what this entailed, but it does seem to be something that they could have, well, that they should have done a little while ago in terms of improving the kind of clarity of what's going on in the game. So, for example, explaining that archers are good in a particular area by essentially giving you a little cookie for deploying them in a situation where you have a height advantage or something like that. I would assume this potentially could lead to situations like, for example, deploying Yunin on a particular map to have a particular conversation, you know, being a little bit more obvious. Now, it seems like this is where you get those kind of meal tickets from, those experience token kind of deals. So that's, you know, that's neat there. Additionally, we've got confirmation that those field buffs, if you remember, there was a bit of a discussion over what those 4 little icons were on the left of every portrait. Those are confirmed to be field buffs. So apparently everyone can pick up 4 of them and stack them up per fight. So that's a pretty cool change there. Additionally, I didn't actually see this translated in the video myself, but folks have told me from other sources that it seems like there are actually side effects to previous skills. I believe what was mentioned was like Rampart Aura potentially blocking certain skills from countering and that kind of thing. So that's interesting there. Remains to be seen exactly how extensive that ends up being, but that's potentially really cool there, because we could, you know, see a lot of potential interesting interactions. All right. Aside from that, we also. Oh, by the way, a lot of the thing here is going into the lore here. little interesting tidbit. They were going on about how the different characters would be reacting in different routes. Apparently, they tried to give neutral characters more of a inflection, kind of like judging or not judging, by the sounds of. At least that was the vibe I was getting from it. In terms of like how they're reacting to people based on different routes. Like, they were apparently trying to put the sort of morality behind a lot of these routes into the voices themselves, which again goes to that same old thing of, good lord, it seems like they really care here. So that was good there. Additionally, it turns out when they were playing the sound effects in the background, it wasn't exactly all sound effects that were actually redone. It seems like most of the basic ones got redone, and in fact, it's interesting to see that when characters are completing like a movement phase, for example, they actually are basically going and confirming their movement like it's OB64 or something. I know I'm mentioning that a whole lot here, but it's just one of those cases of it'll never get brought up officially, so dang it. have to confirm it when it's there. Additionally, the music. Good lord, the music is good. They've been playing so much of it in the background. Again, just watch the original interview. Weird detail here, by the way, this poster. Let me see if I can find it in the Warner report. Is it even going to show in this one? I don't know. But I will say that it's interesting that that when it comes to that particular poster that Canopus was holding up, they were basically... it seems to have been slightly redone for whatever oddly specific reason, but whatever. All right, but yeah, as far as the music goes, man, they played Reminiscence in the background like halfway through this whole thing, and it, like, the feels, man. They did good. They did it good. They did it fantastic there. All right, for another thing, a lot of folks have mentioned that shirt that Mr. Kato's wearing. Yeah, among all the other merch, where's that shirt? Because I'm pretty sure everyone wants it at this point. I know my first impression looking at it was like, man, I wonder if they'll actually start selling that shirt. And then I go on the Discord and like there's at least 4 comments of like, man, where the hell do we get that shirt? So, as far as I know, it's not a thing that's out there. It's probably a custom print, but I mean, there's really nothing stopping you from just going and ordering a custom print like that. So you know, that's a thing. So let's see, other details that got confirmed here. They were saying that as far as fast forward goes, basically it is about 2 times for everything. The animation seems slightly different. Oh, additionally, we found out when it comes to things like orbs and all that, they do seem significantly weaker than they were in the PSP remake, so presumably we're going to see more of a SNES original kind of roll on those, so definitely, looks like they were a decent bit weaker. But again, this is kind of based off of just kind of what we can see in the few seconds that we see it. Like, for example, the characters are running around with about 500 health. They end up taking a hit for about 140, which in the original, it was hitting the entire map. It seems to retain the AoE from the remake, but seems to potentially have the power from the original. A little unclear, but, we'll see as that goes. Additionally, we got a quick look at the scouting mechanism, which actually led to another thing, too. So the scouting mechanism is confirmed. Basically, you can get a big old zoomed-out view of the map and kind of see who's where, rocking what, so fantastic there. Good to see that we finally have this kind of stuff on hand. It's basically Night of Lotus deployment, and I love that. So great there. Would have loved to see an option to trigger that as the default. I hope that's a thing that exists, but, mechanically it might not potentially be possible. I don't know. Anyway, one thing we actually saw while they were scrolling through the generics on that map is that there was a Hawkman running Divine as his primary element. So this kind of begs the question of how exactly all that stuff works. And a couple of theories on that, because for one thing, they didn't seem to have any skills that would indicate that they were running an augment. I could be wrong, but the skills that they were running seemed to be like a heal 1, either a heal 2 or like a heal all, and what looked like possibly a cleanse, if I were to guess what that icon meant, which would be pretty fitting with, how they ran the clerics and a lot of the rest of the series. But I will say it is possible that if they just use the element enough, they just kind of transition into that element, which would be a really cool way to do it. I will say, actually, also their skill seemed... I believe their, cudgel skill was something like 19 out of 60 or whatever else, which previously would have been, 2 out of 8 around that point. So I'm not entirely sure what that means, but it, could potentially be a little bit of an interesting detail there, where maybe they're running way more specific skills right out of the box. So that's another thing to potentially consider. But yeah, so we do get full map scouting, and that is absolutely brilliant. Additionally, they were talking about this poster right here, which kind of cracks me up because they were saying it was their first official announcement. I was like, man, we have seen this. We've known this for months, but it is a damn fine picture. Actually, let's go ahead and move this over here. It's like, man, that just looks pretty. You know what? That art is just freaking fantastic. Oh, we also got confirmation on what that new music piece was. Apparently, it is a thing that'll show up in the like partway through either the credits or the intro. They were saying the credits, but they seem to imply the intro, so a little bit unclear there. One of those two. It was a very happy-sounding theme, so you know, that kind of thing. Additionally, actually, let's take a quick look. Okay, they do seem to have. I'm wondering what the status is of off-center ferry in this particular screenshot. So that's nice there. But yeah, let's see. What else did they end up covering here? Oh yeah, so 4 items, 4 skills, 4 spells. We basically already knew that. As far as replenishment goes, by the way, it's you set that yourself. So you set the parameters for what gets replenished when, and it'll automatically be done for you. So brilliant there. So yeah, no notes, perfect setup, all that kind of thing. Like I was mentioning earlier, crafting is they kept the cost basis, they kept it good, but then they also did make it 100% and all that. So crafting is confirmed fixed. They actually mentioned in one of the interviews that there's no waiting period anymore. So again, awesome. So we should be able to just like tap, and there you go. Suddenly you have all of your stuff there. Oh, and also that person icon. When they were scrolling through those generics earlier, there was a person icon on one of the Hawkmen, I believe. Oh, and here, by the way, is a picture of that bonus objective type situation. So as you can see here, bonus experience, meal tickets, and I believe there was an item for that last one. Somebody put out a translation, but I forgot what it is. Oh, well. But yeah, so I can't wait to see what they do with that system. I really hope it's just a better way of seeing stuff hinted at as the game goes on, because that was definitely one of those things where like you kept going back and it's like, oh, how exactly would you have figured out this, that, or the other? They also, another interesting thing, they mentioned the glass pumpkin lottery. So apparently there's actually a second chance to get your glass pumpkins now, apparently if you follow them on Twitter. By the way, for the couple of folks that were asking what happened to my Twitter, basically it got taken over by crypto spam nonsense. Sorry. I'll fix that at some point. There we go. There's that KOL deployment map, and it looks damn beautiful. So there we go. There we see the Divine Augment guy. We saw a charm kind of thing on one of the archers there, so I'm wondering what that's about. Whether enemies can maybe use some kind of recruit thing, or maybe they have some charm spell that they can put in there that can transfer from another class. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see. So I'm sure there's plenty more to potentially dive into when it comes to all of these little bits and pieces here. But all right, what else did we get confirmation of? So yeah, story-wise, nothing's changed there. Music-wise, oh yeah, sound-wise, we have more voice clips in general. You know, people kind of acting on each input that you do, rather than just when they're supposed to be talking. So, like, it was in Japanese, but, like, they show the guy going up to another unit, and he's like, hi, or whatever else, so presumably it's something like, you know, I'm here, or whatever else. Here they have the comparison over the different speeds, and as you can see, the fast-forward mode is really damn zippy, so fantastic there. As far as availability of those different stacks, I'm just going to go ahead and pause this here for a second. Oh, yeah, here we see that orb that I was talking about earlier. So as you can see, they do the big old Earth nuke. Little Gravitron bomb, yeah, like 200-ish. It's doing about 1/3 damage. That really seems like SNES numbers to me, but, you know, leave your opinions on that as you will. It seemed like finishers are definitely taking more of a utility role, as they did in One Vision, so definitely no notes, absolutely perfect there. I mean, in many ways, this is looking to be pretty friggin' definitive, I have to say. As far as different... As far as things that I've seen on limitations of different skills and all that, I don't think it's going to end up being a problem. Again, I think all of it is just going to end up making the game a lot more clear, simply because there will be no misunderstandings over what does what. So here are those field buffs. They pick one up, and as you see on the bottom left, it fills out one of their 4 slots. And they seem to affect all kinds of different things, so potentially, like right there, they're getting an attack up. It looks like maybe there's like a skill up kind of thing, so maybe they have like skill points that they have to potentially collect for some skills. Again, unclear, but that'll probably become clear over time. Let's see. We already covered the music thing. A lot of the... Oh, the merch lottery. I was talking about that earlier. So apparently, if you want those glass pumpkins, you get a second entry if you actually follow them on Twitter. So that's a thing. But they were specifically mentioning that it was something they did in Japan back for the PS1 version, which, A, interesting to see the PS1 version actually get acknowledged officially for once, but B, they never released the PS1 version, so hopefully that means that maybe they're allowed to talk about it now. C, what happened to the helmet? At least on our side, it was a helmet, which I don't know if did they get the PS1 version over in Japan? Because I thought the SNES version was considered their version. It is very possible that they ended up doing the glass pumpkin thing over there, and we just got the one dude with a helmet. But either way, maybe they misspoke. Maybe it was some additional thing. But the way that they phrased it, it sounded like this was just leftover original stock from that thing, which would be especially hilarious in terms of collector's items. But all right, so here they're showing the crafting changes, and look at that beauty right there. It just gives you the exact cost, gives you a breakdown of everything. You can make multiple. There's no waiting period. So it is perfect. It is a beautiful little baby, and you love it. You know what? Perfect game. 10 out of 10. Hasn't even released. I don't care. I know I'm really excited for this thing, but yeah. I think that was just about everything that they ended up covering in this, unless I'm mistaken. But basically, this was all the stuff that people were asking for, you know? When it came to the script books that they're putting out, they confirmed that it was basically... It seemed like it was the original script that they were talking about there. And most of the rest of the interviews were, again, COVID stories. I really would recommend watching the original one at full length, because it's just a good, heartwarming time, you know? It's great to see people talking this excitedly about all this stuff. Especially hearing... like, every time the Canopus guy started talking, it made me happy. They just seem to have a nice kind of just happy story for every little thing that came along. But all right, so definitely go give that a bit of a look. I'm sure I missed something. It's inevitable I missed something. But you know what? We got the important parts out there, and that's what matters. So you guys have an awesome one. Take care. Thank you so much for sticking by here. And yeah, I will see you when I see you. Can't wait to get more updates on this. We've only got like a little over a month now. Well, I say a little over a month. It's like a 1 3/4 months. We're gonna ignore like maybe half of that month. All right, got to keep sanity going. All right, you guys have a good one. Take care and bye.